aquadomia. You love the colors you will see while you're scuba diving in the sea. Discover the Mediterranean Sea. Scuba diving is all you need to know the wonders of the world hidden down the surface of the blue. Don't waste more time, you become a great instructor in the world. Don't waste more time, you become with aquadomia. If you want to learn to scuba dive in the sea, just with aquadomia, with aquadomia. Scuba diving in Columbus National Park, just with aquadomia, with aquadomia. Don't waste more time, you become a great instructor in the world. Don't waste more time, you become with aquadomia.
Bonsoir à tous. Bonsoir Thomas. Donc bonsoir pour ce live. Je suis impressionné de voir autant de monde. Je vous laisse vous asseoir dans la salle pour ce live, une grande première. Merci de me dire dans les commentaires si le son est bon, c'est important. Hein, on a du monde qui est rentré, donc apparemment le son est bon. Ce que j'invite à faire aux personnes qui se connectent via Facebook, c'est n'hésitez pas à partager ce live. Promis, hein, les débuts sont en français, mais après on va switcher sur l'anglais. Hein, donc c'est un live organisé pour vous faire progresser en anglais. N'hésitez pas aussi, hein, pour ceux qui arrivent, à me dire en commentaire quel est votre niveau d'anglais, si vous avez un niveau tout débutant, si vous êtes d'un niveau perfectionné. Et comme je vois qu'il y a encore des personnes qui rentrent dans la salle, hein, partagez le live sur Facebook. C'est un live qui va durer à peu près 1 heure. Hein, c'est un live qui est le premier d'une série. Donc, je pense que là, maintenant, tout le monde est installé. Super, très, très bien. Donc, je parle un petit peu en français et juste après, on passe à l'anglais. Alors déjà, je voulais dire merci. Hein, merci. Moi, je suis Vincent de l'école de plongée Aquadomia, hein, qui organise une formation professionnelle à la plongée loisir, qui est basée à Marseille, Parc National des Calanques. Et je voulais dire un grand merci à toute l'équipe Wall Street English, qui a fait un énorme boulot pour vous accueillir tous ce soir. Donc, avec l'émotion, je vais en oublier, mais je voudrais remercier Thomas, hein, qui est là, bien sûr. Je vais remercier Audrey, Mélissa, Maxime, Alex et bien sûr Philippe qui, je pense, nous regarde. Donc, juste pour dire, Wall Street English, il faut savoir que c'est une société qui a plus de 45 ans, si je ne me trompe pas, plus de 400 centres de formation au travers de 28 pays avec une méthode unique qui font que ce sont les leaders de l'apprentissage en anglais. On a un point commun entre Wall Street et Aquadomia pour la partie française. On fait partie des premiers organismes de formation à avoir été certifiés qualité. Et donc, on a eu cette initiative de lancer ces lives tout simplement parce que formation plongée, plongée, ça rime avec voyage plongé et ça invite donc à rencontrer différentes cultures et généralement, hein, que ce soit pour aller aux US, au fin fond de l'Inde, en Asie ou en mer Rouge, le dénominateur commun, c'est l'anglais de la plongée. Et donc, le but de ce soir, c'est vraiment de parler anglais de la plongée. Donc, je crois que j'en ai dit beaucoup. Alors, restez bien jusqu'à la fin du live. Hein, prenez un verre d'eau, hein, c'est important, parce que c'est un live qui va durer 1 heure. À la fin du live, vous aurez des petites surprises qui vous seront annoncées. Donc, n'hésitez pas à rester aussi. Et puis maintenant, afin de dive into the English vocabulary, I will ask you, Thomas, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Vincent. My name is Thomas. I'm an English teacher at Wall Street English in Aix-en-Provence. And when Vincent invited me to join the live to speak about scuba diving vocabulary, I was really excited. I love scuba diving, and I know that for international travel, for international scuba diving, it's very important. So I hope that some of the terms that we discussed tonight will be useful for you in your travels and in your scuba diving. So, Vincent, I think that the best way for us to start is to begin by thinking about looking for a dive center.
No, Thomas, I would like to introduce myself in English.
Very good.
Okay, so I am Vincent. I will try to avoid to do mistakes during this presentation. So I'm the creator and owner with Bruno on the scuba diving center of the scuba diving school Aquadomia. I created 15 years ago. I dive since 30 years now. And what we offer in Aquadomia is accelerated training, personal training, one-to-one and small group training from beginners to instructors in Marseille, Calanques National Park, and also in Caribbean, in Martinique, during February in the winter. Was it correct?
It was wonderful. Perfect.
Okay. So now the first part. What we imagine for the live tonight is to start by the beginning. When you want to dive, you search on internet and so on. So that will be the first step. Afterwards, when you find your destination, your dive center, you will be welcomed by the manager and they will ask you some questions. Second step. Third step will be the visit of the dive center, how it works. The fourth step will be to discover all the equipment. It will be a course concerning beginners. So if you don't dive, it works also, this live tonight. And the fifth point, if you have enough time, will be the beginning of the dive. So let's go with the first part.
So the first part, when we're thinking about international diving, is contacting a dive center. So we can, depending on our objective, are we experienced divers and are we looking to do wreck dives or deep dives, or are we just beginners and just looking to do a little scuba diving during our holidays? Or are we looking to get certified? So all of this depends on what kind of experience we're looking for. So we're looking for dive centers, scuba, right? We're talking about scuba diving, right? Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus is scuba, right? And so when we're looking for options, a very popular option is a dedicated dive resort. So a dedicated dive resort is a large hotel complex that is going to integrate the scuba diving center into the resort. So if we're doing 2 dives a day, we can live at the resort and essentially do everything there, pay one time and do our dives. Another popular option I can see, for example, in Egypt, I see is the liveaboards, where we can go actually and stay on a boat, a large boat, maybe a large sailing ship that goes from dive site to dive site. Or if we're looking just to integrate some diving into our holidays, then I think we're just looking at a dive center. that will give us certification possibilities.
I have heard about dive facility.
So the level of the dive. The level of the dives, is that right, Vincent?
No. In fact, you have you said about dive centers, live aboard, and a term we use also is dive facility. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, true. A dive facility, right? A dive facility, a dive center. Sometimes we even can just say diving school if they're oriented to certification programs, but a dive facility, right? So all of these, I think many times we talk about a dive center, right? A scuba diving center. So I think that's really our initial search is going when we're looking on the internet. If we want to go to Hawaii or to Australia or to Thailand or Mexico, all of these places are going to be excellent scuba diving destinations, and our English is going to come in very handy for us. So I think that when we are contacting a scuba diving center, we need to think about our first steps. What do you think, Vincent?
Yes, that's right. And I have a question concerning the activity of aquadomia. I generally say scuba diving school, and I know that we can say also scuba school or diving school. Could you explain the difference, please?
Well, I think as soon as we use either the term diving or scuba, we know that we're talking about going underwater with our tanks, right? So a scuba diving center or a dive center. I think scuba is just there. It's absolutely clear. Because dive, we could imagine perhaps, if we go to the pool, we can dive into the pool, or here we are diving into English. So if we add scuba, of course, it is very clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So your question was very good. Yes, if I never dive before the center, what should I ask?
What should I ask? Well, I think that if we have never dived before, we are interested in possibly a certification program. For example, I have a certification that is the PADI, right? P-A-D-I, PADI certification, just the initial certification, open water, right? We talk about open water certification. It's the first level. And we could be interested in obtaining this certification, a PADI open water certification. Or it could be that maybe we want to just get we can talk about a baptism, our first dives. Maybe we just want to scuba dive without going through the entire certification process. So we want to ask, do you accommodate beginners? Do you offer a certification program? How long does it take? What kind of dives do you offer?
Okay, so I didn't know that baptism was also okay for the discover. I used to use the word discover scuba diving. That's a good information.
Yes. Well, I think discover scuba diving to initiate, to do the first dives.
Okay, so now we went through the first step, which was to investigate where to go, what to do. And now I am at the dive center, at the diving school. What's happening?
Well, I think that the first thing that happens often is we are asked if we have a dive card. Do we have a certification, or are we looking to become certified? What do we want? What are our objectives? So we need to say, would like to be certified. I'm interested in scuba diving, right? What kind of dives do you offer? So if we are asked, do you have a dive card? And if we are experienced or we are certified divers, then there are follow-up questions that we often hear. And I think these are, how often do you dive? How many times have you gone scuba diving? Or when was your last dive? Because all of this gives the information to the dive master, our level. Because it's very important that we have a dive that corresponds to our level. If we are beginning scuba divers, we don't want to take on too much. What do you think, Vincent?
Do you have anything to provide? You speak about dive certification. So what is the good word? Do you have a certification card? Do you have a diploma? Do you have a degree? What's the difference? Is it a card? How does it work? What should I explain when I give my plastic card with my level if I got one?
Yes. Well, I have always been asked for my dive card, simply. Do you have your dive card? This is the question that I have always been asked. Of course, certification means the same thing, but as you say, Vincent, we have a card. I should have brought it with me, but I have a dive card. And in my last dives this summer, the center kept my card for the days that I was diving, and they gave it back to me when my dives were completed. And we can also talk about a log book, right? We can talk about a book that if we are experienced divers, we will write down our dives, so we can show our experience. So we are being asked usually for a dive card, and the open water is the term that we use for the first level. Afterward, there are other specific technical things that we can learn, which I don't have, but we can learn.
Okay, now we use also a virtual certification, electronic card also. Okay, and what about the things concerning the medical conditions?
So we're wanting to know about the visibility, the weather.
No. I was speaking about the medical conditions.
Yes, medical. Yes, the medical conditions. Of course, this is very important because we know that scuba diving is something that can put some pressure on our bodies. And so there is going to be the initial question, do you have any medical condition? Do you have any medical condition that we need to know about? And this could be a medical condition, maybe with our ears, our sinuses, or our heart, or some other kind of medical problem that could arise. So, and we will be asked to complete a medical form before we dive.
Yes, and that's a big difference because all over the world, you complete a form. In France, you can do it also, but generally, that's not the law. But a lot of dive centers ask for a certificate medical, a physician form. Is it correct?
Yes, a physician's certificate of good health.
Yes, and that's generally a problem because when we welcome US divers to France, they have never heard about that. And even English people don't know how to ask to their physician to sign the form, you know.
Yes, it's different. I think that we are normally just asked to complete a form. And so the form is usually 2 or 3 pages, and you just have to say no, 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 no to everything. They will ask you, do you have a heart condition? Do you have, and we just continue to check no, and then we sign, and that's it.
What happens if I say yes?
Well, I think it depends on what the problem is. If it's perhaps nothing serious, you can continue to dive.
In fact, what they say on the form, if you have only one question with a yes, you have to go to the physician.
Okay. Okay. Then you need to go to see the doctor in order to go scuba diving. So this is important. Of course, we don't want to have any accidents. It's important to be honest. And I think, Vincent, you can maybe agree if you have an infection in your ear or in your sinuses, maybe it's not the best time to go scuba diving.
Correct. Yes, of course. Particularly with the ears, you have to be in good condition. You don't need to be very fit, but in good health, of course.
Good. So what else did we see? Other kinds of there are questions about health that we encounter when we go to a dive center. Questions about diving experience. Are you an experienced diver? How often do you dive? When was your last dive? So we should be prepared to talk about this. If we are beginning, then of course we can just, it will be a medical condition, and then we need to ask the dive center about the procedures for the certification process for our first dives.
Okay, so now we have done the 2 first steps, research of a dive center or diving school. We went to this dive center or dive school, and now let's go for the visit, Thomas.
So if we are going to the dive center, it is important to look for us. Sometimes we don't think about evaluating the dive center, but it's important. I have, for example, gone scuba diving a few times in Mexico, and I have had various experiences. Sometimes the equipment was not very well maintained. Sometimes the dive master, I don't think was more than 19 years old. And the dive, although the dive was a fantastic dive, in fact, it didn't correspond to my level. It was too advanced for me. So we need to take this seriously, to examine the dive center. Is the material in good condition? Do we feel comfortable with this team? Because we are going scuba diving with a team, with a dive master or maybe another person. So we can ask any questions that if we are concerned.
Okay, I have a question from the audience. What's the difference about diving and snorkeling?
So snorkeling, of course, when we have our mask and our snorkel, there we don't have any. There we don't use our scuba tanks, right? We are. I don't know if we can. Do we call this free diving, Vincent?
So the difference, free diving is more concerning apnea, to go down, and snorkeling is staying at the surface, but only with fins, with mask, snorkel, and of course in Calanques National Park with a small suit to keep you warm.
Yes.
But for the snorkeling is really for everybody. No restriction concerning health condition. You don't need to know how to swim, to snorkel, because you float. It could be with your suit or with a buoy we furnish. And that's the difference between snorkeling and scuba diving. It means that for scuba diving, you need equipment, and so you need training. Is my English correct, Thomas?
Perfect. Very nice. Very nice.
With a strong French accent.
Very good. Very good. And so that's a good point, Vincent. When we are traveling internationally and we are speaking, let's not worry about the accent. What's important is that we're understood. You know, when I speak French, I have a very strong American accent. But if I'm understood, that's the most important thing. So let's not be shy when we're speaking English also, because we have a tendency to speak very softly when we're speaking another language. We need to force ourselves to speak forcefully and to say, I would like to get certified. How much does it cost? How many dives are we going to do today? And if we make mistakes, it's not important. What's important is that we communicate with people. English is just a tool for communicating. So this is why we are thinking about different vocabulary today. We will move on now or shortly to think about the vocabulary in English for scuba diving. But remember, we've talked about looking for a dive center. What's important for us? Are we looking for advanced dives? We'll look at terminology like wreck dives or drop-offs or overhead obstructions, or are we looking to get certified? And we must be prepared when we arrive to talk about our dive certification, our dive card, to talk about medical conditions, and to be prepared to fill out a form, and then to look around the dive center. Are things in good condition? And if we are not confident with this team, because sometimes if we go to other parts of the world, if we are in Thailand or Indonesia or some other part, we maybe will encounter something that we're not comfortable with. And we need to be able to say no, to say, I'm not going to dive. This could happen, okay? So what's next on our program, Vincent?
Oh, I will say when I visit the dive center, I say I see sanitary showers.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the showers.
Sanitary is it?
Well, is it sanitary? Right. Is it clean? Is it clean? The sanitary, like the bathrooms, the showers. The dive area, the area where we are preparing our material, and also, you know, for example, when I left my my backpack in Mexico, I was a little bit worried about it. There were no problems, but honestly, I didn't feel very safe at this particular place. So we need to think about these things.
Okay. So how do you say inside the sanitary you have also lockers? Is that correct?
Right, lockers. Right. So many times we can have a locker, so we can put our clothes or our wallet, our material inside the locker, and then to lock it, maybe with a key or a combination, right? A locker, right?
Okay. Okay. So now maybe we can speak about the equipment, because I will go for my first certification.
Yes.
Somebody will give me my equipment. So can you explain us the equipment? I will show it maybe. Up. There. Up.
Good, very good. So let's talk about what we are going to see first, and of course our mask, right? Our mask, and our snorkel, right? Our snorkel, right? And for propulsion, we use fins, right? On our feet, we use the fins, of course. We can then look at our tank, right? Our tank or tanks, our scuba tanks, right? And then we can talk about what are we looking at here, Vincent? I can't see it very well. Is it the first?
This is a regulator.
Regulator, right? The regulator, right? So we can talk about the regulator, pressure.
Okay. Concerning the mask, how do I say? Because you have two kinds of mask. The one like this, you have also it. I was showing it on the picture with only one glass, and a one with two separated glazes. How do you say window glazes?
Well, maybe a separated mask when we have a separation here. Maybe a separated mask as opposed to a unified mask.
Okay, and this is a strap, is it?
Perfect, strap.
Okay, and this is to adjust it.
To adjust it, exactly.
Adjust it or fix it? No, adjust.
I think adjust is best, is the perfect word. We want to adjust the mask to make sure that we have a good fit, right? We can talk about a fit, right? F-I-T. And the fit can be for the mask, it can be for the fins, it can be for the boots, it can be for the gloves, it can be for the wetsuit. So when we're talking about a fit, we need to have a good fit, right? It needs to be the right size, right? S-I-Z-E, size. Right? We need to have the correct size.
So, for instance, if I want to check this mask, I put it to my face without the strap. I inhale by the nose. It fits.
And it fits.
Okay. I inhale. That's correct.
I inhale. Correct.
Inhale.
Inhale, right, inhale. So what else do we look? We also look at something that's called a buoyancy compensator. Am I saying, is that correct, Vincent? A buoyancy compensator, or BCB, is that right? Or
yes, just there.
Okay. So what do you normally, you call this, I think we generally say BCD, or a buoyancy compensator?
Correct, yes, that's BCD, buoyancy compensator device, or also it's stabilizing jacket. We call it stab in French, but I think it also works in English. Stab.
Yes, stabilizing jacket, right? Or vest. Also, we can say a vest because in English, the word vest indicates no arms, right?
Yes.
Good. What other kinds of material do we use? Of course, we use gloves for our hands, especially if the water is cold. And for our head, we can have a hood, right? A hood that can cover our head. As we go deeper, I think there can be something called a thermocline. I think that's the right term. Vincent, you correct me if I'm wrong. Where we can encounter very cold water.
Yes, that's a thermocline. When you are in the Calanques National Park, for instance, when you have a good mistral in the summer, you can have maybe 18 degrees at the surface, but when you go deeper than 10, 20, 30 meters, you will find 14, 13 Celsius degrees water. And I have a question regarding the temperature, because a lot of US divers use Fahrenheit. Could you tell me about conversion?
Well, yes. Let's remember it's a different scale, a different measurement. So the boiling, the 100 degrees centigrade is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. And 0 degrees centigrade is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So if we have a temperature of 18 degrees centigrade, this must correspond to something that is about, what can we say, maybe 60 degrees Fahrenheit approximately. So it's a kind of the centigrade system is much more logical than the Fahrenheit system. So we have to, if people are talking about temperatures when we are diving, we are going to have big numbers like 60 or 50.
You are already warmer with English system, with US system.
Perhaps. So what else should we talk about as far as material, Vincent?
An important point is the suit, because I don't want to speak about wetsuit and dry suit. We could, but I would like to have some explanation concerning the suit. What's the difference? We have differences with 5 millimeters, 2 millimeters, 7 millimeters, and with the zip on the front, on the back. Could you tell some words about that? Some correct words, please?
Well, I think that this is one area where we talk about millimeters also. Even in the US, I think they'll say a 5 millimeter or a 4 millimeter. This is the thickness of the neoprene, right? So the higher the number, of course, the warmer the wetsuit is going to be. And we can have a front zip, right, or a back zip. So a zip, right, is this fermeture éclair, the zip, right? So the zipper is a front zip, a back zip. So the entry, the way that we are putting on this wetsuit.
Okay, and first of all, I will try my suit, and if that's okay, I can say it fits, correct? And if it's too small, I'm tight in it. Is that correct?
Yes, it's too tight. It's too tight for me. It's too tight, right? So if it's too small or too tight, it's not a good fit, right? Or if it's too big or too large or loose, it's the same, right? We can say it's too big, it's too small, or it's too tight, or it's too loose, or it's a good fit. Or if it doesn't fit me, we say it doesn't fit, right? It doesn't fit me.
So what can I do? I change, I exchange. What's the correct word? To change? Or
I think we can say to change. I need to change. I need to change for a different suit, wetsuit. Or boots, or gloves, or whatever it is that doesn't fit, we need to change, because as we know, when we are underwater, it's important that we have the material that fits us. The mask fits us, that our wetsuit, that everything is correct.
Okay, so now we had the description concerning the equipment. So we take our mask, our regulator, our stabilizing jacket. We put them on the tank. I have my suit, I have my fins. So it's time to go to the sea. So let's speak about some words concerning how to go to the boat,
Yeah, so of course we can. The most common, I think, is a boat dive, right? Where we are going to the boat. We need to probably walk to the boat with this heavy material on our back, and then we can get often into the water and maybe then go onto the boat. This is a boat dive, right? And then we are going to be seated normally as we go to the dive site or the dive spot. And we can, as we mentioned before, we can have different kinds of dives. We can talk about a drift dive, for example, where we are entering into the water in one location, and then the current is taking us to a different location where the boat is going to get us. So when we are going into the water, there are different ways that we can enter. Yes, Vincent?
Yes. First of all, I would like to explain some things. Look at this boat, for instance, and that's the boat we commonly use. Can you tell me how I say to put my equipment to make sure it won't fall, to make sure I won't fall into the water? It's very important to know that. Don't forget that I begin the scuba diving. I don't know anything. Maybe I never been on a boat.
Yes, good point, Vincent. Scuba tanks are very heavy, right? So they can be dangerous because if they fall on our foot or our hand, they can do a lot of damage. So we need to place our equipment in a secure place. Normally, the dive master is going to indicate where we are going to put our tanks. Maybe we are going to keep our tanks on for the until we get to the site, or we will place them in a secure location. So our material needs to be in a secure location, in a stable location. So all of these words are going to be important, but it's important for us to remember security. When we are on the boat, the scuba tanks need to be very stable.
Okay, and I need to keep my feet on the, how do you say, that's not the bottom of the boat, the bridge? No, that's not the bridge.
We'll just say we need to keep our feet on the. I'm not thinking of the best word, but of course it's not the floor because this is in a house. But we can say just keep your feet on the ground, even though it's in a boat. But it's important for us to stay in a very stable condition in the boat, because I know that if you have a lot of waves, you're going to be moving. The tanks can move also, so we need to really find a way to stabilize ourselves.
Okay, so I have to keep my feet on the deck, and if I want to explain to the other, please keep your hand on the rope, for instance. How can you say that?
Yes, keep your hand on the rope. Keep a good hold of the boat, of the rope, or of the side of the boat. This is very important for us as we're traveling to the dive site. I mean.
Okay, and the most current difficulty for a beginner, what I experience is they come to the boat and that's a real mess because they want to put their fins on the front of the boat, the mask on the back of the boat, and they can't find them anymore. Could you explain that, please?
Well, I think this is something that normally the dive master or the team can indicate to beginners, especially because they don't have this idea of losing their mask or their fins or even their tanks, because we have taken the time to have a good fit, to have my equipment. I don't want it to be taken by someone else. Many times we go diving with I don't know, 7 people, and we can lose our equipment. So let's make sure that we put our mask, our snorkel, our fins in a place that we know that it is ours and in a secure place.
Okay, great. So now we navigate and we go to the diving site. Could you give us some word concerning this?
So yes, Vincent, I was going to say I can think of 2 ways that we enter the water frequently. Maybe you can tell us more. One is called a giant step. And this is when we are taking a very large step to enter into the water from a standing position. Or the other method that we use is just to go backward, to be seated on the side of the boat and to go backward. How do you normally have your divers enter the water, Vincent?
So it depends on the boat. If you are on big boat, you can't go backwards. You have to go. Do you say frontward?
Yes, or forward.
Forward. Sorry. And on this kind of boat you see on the screen, this is an inflatable boat. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we go backward like this, of course. Okay. Another way is also, especially for the beginners, they are afraid to go like this. So we put all the equipment in the water.
Yes,
and they can go as they like, and they can use also, you see on the back on the boat, they have the ladder there.
Yes. So the ladder. So this is more comfortable for beginning divers. They can just enter the water with the ladder in the back of the boat. They can go into the water, put on the BCD and probably with the help of the diving instructor, so that everything is in its good location. And then we can start to give some signs and start the dive.
Okay, so concerning the sign, it could be interesting to see the main sign we use. I don't know if that's okay. I will try to put it bigger. Okay. So I will remove this. I will use something else. So if you want to tell that everything is okay, the sign is. So can you explain which kind of sizes of signs we use?
Well, I think that this is obviously the most common. We want to if we have either a buddy, right? When we talk about a buddy, this is someone that we are diving with, our diving partner. We can use the term buddy, or the dive master, right? He is going to ask us. This is a question. When he's coming from the dive master, he says this: you need to give this sign back, the okay sign. Everything is okay. There's no problem. And this is, I think, of course, the most common sign that we use. Okay.
Okay.
So we can go up, right? Go up. It's time to go up. Maybe there is a period where we are going to wait at a certain depth right? So when we're talking about the profondeur, the depth of our dive, right? There, if we have gone, especially for a deep dive, then we are going to need to remain at a certain level for a period of time, right? Before we continue to go up. And then we can go up, of course, to go down, right? These are signs that we use that I think are international. So stop, right?
Okay, great. So that's the sign. Let's go for the briefing now, and I think we will shortly stop the live. So concerning the briefing, I will explain the students to first of all, the most important thing is to relax. And of course, I will start by describing what we could see underwater, the beautiful fishes, the beautiful rocks, beautiful wreck, everything we have an opportunity to meet. And for the beginning, I will explain you how to put your equipment on. So it's, of course, your wetsuit, if you didn't put it in the dive center, you how to put your BCD on your back with the tank, with your regulator, your fins first, your mask, your dive computer, maybe if you get one, and I will carefully explain you the signs you explain first, and that you need to breathe, relax, inhale, exhale slowly with a small volume in your lungs. And the first thing I will explain you is how to balance your ears. Is that correct? Balance?
So we can say balance, but we can also say equalize. To equalize the pressure, right? So we need to equalize the pressure in our sinuses, in our ears.
Okay. Can we say also compensate?
Yes, to compensate for the pressure. As the deeper we're going, we need to compensate for this pressure, and we equalize.
Okay, so that's a very simple thing. When you go down, of course, you have pressure of the water coming in. So you just, how do you say that?
You pinch your nose.
I pinch my nose and I exhale by the nose. Is that correct?
That's it. And you exhale by the nose, and this pushes the pressure into the ear canals, and we equalize. And so we are going to need to do this frequently, right?
Correct. Every time you need it, it could be every 20 centimeters. That's a very important thing. Don't wait. It hurts.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. This is of course very important, and to maintain a certain level and not to always be going up and down. Or if we are not an experienced diver, I'm always looking at my dive master, and I want to stay at a similar level. I don't want to be moving up and down too much.
Okay. So the first thing we will few things we will learn during this dive. I won't say all the briefing now, but we will learn to check the pressure gauge, or do we say pressure gauge or manometer?
Yes. I say pressure gauge.
Is manometer correct also?
I wouldn't use it. I know what it is, but I say pressure gauge.
Pressure gauge. Okay. So I will ask you to check your pressure gauge frequently to indicate how many bars you have in it. 100 bars, 50 bars. And so to make sure you are comfortable with this, we will learn to make your balance with your lungs. It means every time you inflate, you inhale, with a small time, how do you say that?
A small amount of air.
No, I wanted to explain that when you inhale, you go up, but that's not exactly just when I do it. Yeah, I need il y a une inertie. Sorry for my French. So how do you say this in English?
What did you say, Vincent?
When I inhale, I don't go up straight, but after a few seconds. And when
So when you inhale, you have a tendency to rise in the water, and then when you exhale, you go deeper into the water. So you need to manage this by small breaths, right?
Yes, correct. I wanted to say that that's not exactly as you said, because il y a un temps de retard, une inertie.
Okay. Yes, because it's we need to anticipate, right? We need to anticipate.
Okay. I think we have done a very good lesson for the beginning, for this first live. I think we have almost 1 hour. So now we will ask to some people, to the public, if they have any questions. Jeremy, bonsoir, Jeremy. He's speaking about inertia. Is that the correct term, inertia?
Inertia, yes, it's the same. The pronunciation is just slightly different. Inertia, like it's SH, inertia. Inertia.
Okay. Donc, n'hésitez pas, don't hesitate to ask your question concerning this live. At the beginning, I told you that we have some surprise. So the surprise are, of course, don't hesitate to like the Wall Street English France pages and YouTube channel. Don't hesitate to like the Aquadomia Facebook page and YouTube channel. If you post a message to Wall Street English on the Facebook page using Messenger, you can ask to receive a document with all the terms we hear tonight. Okay, and if you want to have a starting guide for scuba diving, you just need to send me a message on the Facebook page Aquadomia or in the comments, and I will give you a URL. I can write it down just now to give it to you. And please don't hesitate to ask for the subject you want to deal with for the next live, which will take place on the Monday 14th of December. We will have our second live, and I think we will speak about now we have seen how to search a dive center, how to find it, how to be welcome in the dive center, how to visit it, how to have information concerning the equipment, how to go on the boat. And next time, we maybe could do a course concerning theory of scuba diving for first level.
Yes. Very good idea, because as we know that there is a lot of theory that is required to be certified.
Yes, good. So I put just now the address. If you want to get your scuba diving guide, that's only that's tips. That's not theory, that's scuba diving tips. You can have it. That's a French one. Maybe I will do an English one if you help me to translate it, Thomas.
With pleasure.
Okay. And keep, I will look on the comments. Do we have any question? Another show, yes, we will have 5 shows. And don't forget, I didn't say it, but at the end of the 5 show, you will have a big surprise. Big surprise.
Big surprise.
And for the first live, I will ask you to note a letter, which is the A. At the end of every live, I will give you a letter. At the end of the 5 live, you will have 5 letters, which are a promo code you will be able to use. I'm looking for the question. No question anymore. So keep online. Thank you very much. You will see an English clip. You saw it maybe at the beginning, but I will put it in the full version now. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you, my friend. Good to see you, and thank you for having me on Aquadomia.
Thank you. It was a pleasure because it's like if I was in travel just now to speak English with so many people. Okay, so bye-bye, everybody. See you the 14th of December. And don't forget, we have another live on aquadomia.com this Thursday regarding commercial diving. So now I can put the clip and I say bye-bye to everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
To dive in friends, just with Aquadomia. You love the colors you will see while you're scuba diving in the sea. Discover the Mediterranean Sea. Scuba diving is all you need to know the wonders of the world hidden down the surface of the blue. Don't waste more time, you become a great instructor in the world. Don't waste more time, you become with Aquadomia. If you want to learn to scuba dive in the sea, just with Aquadomia. With Aquadomia. Scuba diving in Columbus National Park. Just with